So let's travel back to the early 2000s, where the creator of the film Nikita and The Fifth Element helped launch a brand new action star for the 21st century. So let's buckle up with Jason Statham and the Transporter. Former British Special Forces officer Frank Martin now works as a skilled driver for illicit jobs in the south of France, working under 3 strict rules: never change the deal, no names, and never open the package. Yet following a bank heist where Frank executes a perfect getaway, he takes on a delivery job with a new client. However, when he ends up having to change out a flat tire, he discovers the package is a bound and gagged young woman named Lai. When his compassion gets the best of him, she tries to escape, only for Frank to have to subdue a pair of police officers and stash them in the trunk. While Frank does ensure the delivery of the package, Darren Wall Street Betancourt tasks him with the delivery to Grenoble. Yet when Frank stops for refreshments, the package detonates and destroys his car. Frank then probably wipes out Wall Street's henchmen and takes another car for himself. However, Lai is stowed away in the back, and despite his better judgment, Frank takes her home with him. Although this debacle ropes in Inspector Tarconi, who tries piecing together how Frank's car got blown up, with 2 cops tied up in the trunk, to which Frank lies about it being stolen. Yet things get worse when Frank's entire seaside home is attacked and blown up as well. After having to explain this way to Tarconi as well, Lai eventually comes clean, saying that her family and hundreds of others are victims of human trafficking, and she needs Frank's help to save their lives. Yet what she fails to disclose is that her father is doing this in concert with Wall Street, who have Frank arrested under allegations of kidnapping and assault. However, Inspector Tarconi takes Frank into, but then helps him escape from custody. Now there is nothing that will stop this transporter from tearing apart everyone who gets in his way, to help save Lai from her father's twisted scheme. So The Transporter saw its theatrical release in October of 2002, first on the 11th of the month in North America, then on the 23rd in its home country of France, and produced on a budget of $20.5 million through Luc Besson's company Europa Corp, earned $43.9 million back at the worldwide box office, making a pretty decent success for itself, but apparently it was the performance of the film on home video rentals and sales that really pushed it over the top, which motivated US distributor 20th Century Fox and Europa Corp to greenlight a sequel to it and really give it the burgeoning action star of Jason Statham his very first franchise. But how this entire thing came about, it's kind of an interesting little thing here, because a couple of years before this, BMW of all people actually put together this little promotional web series, and they gave all these great action directors and stuff like that like a showcase. They kind of put together these little short films starring Clive Owen as kind of this stoic driver who takes on these little jobs but gets into these kind of interesting tight scenarios of action sequences of danger called The Hire. And they had like John Frankenheimer, Ang Lee, Wong Kar-wai, Tony Scott, Guy Ritchie, a whole bunch of really solid directors coming into this thing, give a little exercise in kind of action filmmaking stuff like that here and there. So it's definitely available on YouTube and various compilations, stuff like that. So it's well worth checking out. We can definitely see the influence from that into this. And Besson would co-write the entire screenplay with Robert Mark Kamen, who had been known for the Karate Kid franchise many years before this, and would later work with him again on the Taken franchise. So pretty solid hand in this whole thing. And the fact is, it's a nice type of thing to have an easy little kind of high concept action thing that's kind of lean, kind of stripped down to a certain degree, but it gives a showcase for potential new action star to kind of hit the scene and see what he can do for everyone in that regard here. But the filming of The Transporter is actually pretty interesting, that they shot everything in the south of France, which is pretty much home to Luc Besson. Shot Marseille, Cannes, Saint-Tropez, Nice, a lot of different places that gave the film a certain European flavor and certain production quality overall to itself. And it also brought in very much interesting people to helm the entire film in terms of Hong Kong director Cory Yuen. This guy worked back in the 70s with Bruce Lee, later works with Jet Li, a whole bunch of things. Like, this guy is very prolific in Hong Kong cinema at the time, and kind of brought in this whole thing to make his first English language film. But they also brought in Louis Leterrier as a sort of artistic director, almost like a liaison type of thing back and forth, because you have both Chinese and French crews on the film, so they have both these guys coming in, kind of work with those separate crews, to kind of liaison back and forth and stuff like that. But Louis Leterrier got very fast in the Hollywood system after this, like he ended up doing The Incredible Hulk, Now You See Me, Clash of the Titans, various Fast and the Furious films. So this guy has really become, up to this point in 2026, a very solid hand in the studio system to really bake on. They can deliver things. They're very good in that regard. So good type of things to see. Like, they just kind of have a certain system here where, like, you could feel like all these kind of disparate parts going to kind of maybe clash a little bit. You couldn't have as easy of a communication back and forth, but apparently everything did kind of find a way to move very smoothly amongst the entire elements of the entire crew here to make a very interesting little film here that pulls off some pretty impressive feats for a pretty nice small little action film here. But the entire direction here just feels so confident. Like, I feel like that kind of brisk, sly style the entire film is going for is just very breezy. It moves the entire film along with a very effortless style overall, just like got this very economical storytelling. It's a very simple story overall here, but just how the entire thing sets up all the little things, from how Frank conducts his business up front, all the rules he has, the kind of little stuff he has going on with the entire inspector in the entire film. Like, it's these nice little building blocks toward the story, and kind of gets to see how he gets into a kind of deal with something, how a job forms itself, and it gets a little bit in thick when he kind of breaks and bends his rules and stuff like that. So it's like, it's a nice type of thing to see this kind of lean story handled with such a light, airy sensibility. Knows how to ramp it up and kick it forward when it has to, but kind of throttle it back down when it kind of needs to kind of settle down a little bit here and there. So it's like, he knows the ebbs and flows of a very simple story to tell here. So it's like, it's nice to see that kind of direction quality go forward in a film like this, and kind of have the entire action be kind of the driving force of the film, instead of having to really kind of rely too much on a real heavy, thick story in that regard. So it's like, you know exactly what the appeal of a film like this is. It's going to be the movement, the motion, the kind of momentum of the entire film, how the action plays out and all that type of stuff. So it all feels very much cohesive in how he approaches the entire film in such a great regard here. But talking about Jason Statham, like, man, we know that at this point in time in 2026, this guy's just been an action star for a quarter of a century now almost. And it's like, it's kind of interesting seeing how Jason Statham brought himself up in the world a little bit at a time here, because as a young man, he kind of got into being an athlete. Diver, footballer, martial artist, stuff like that. Kept him out of trouble. They got into modeling a little bit here and there, got into some music videos. Eventually got into some films with Guy Ritchie, with Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, Snatch, shows up John Carpenter's Goes to Bars, he's in Jet Li's The One. So a little bit of time in these few short years in terms of film, really raising his stature a little bit here and there, getting himself noticed overall to where he gets onto this film, and just, you can see it from the beginning what made Jason Statham the freaking action star he has become. He's got that great charisma and the kind of sly wit. I like his Frank Martin here, right from the beginning of the film. He's dealing with these guys with the bank robbery. Like, oh, you contracted me for 3 guys. You brought in 4. This screws up everything. Like the weight differential in the car, the shocks I put in was coded for this much weight and stuff like that. You throw all this stuff out. No. That's not how we're doing things here. And it's like how it unfolds the entire film. How you have that kind of slyness with the character who's dealing with Inspector Taccone. This entire sort of like, oh, he kind of knows something. He's suspicious of something. It's like this little game they play back and forth. We kind of know things here and there, but don't know exactly what's going on. But he's very much perceptive type of inspector in that regard. And I like that chemistry they have back and forth overall. It really kind of develops Frank's character in that regard, finding about his military background, various other things here and there. So it builds his character a little bit at a time. But once you get into the entire thing of him bending and breaking his own rules, and kind of falls apart, it's like, I like the fact that you have this character, it's a little extra depth as the film goes on. Like, he has that warmth and the kind of compassion here, but he's got a little bit of a protective armor on himself. And he says, like, he left the military because, like, he's tired of his work getting kind of shortchanged and kind of screwed up by other people, whatnot, in the politics and the bureaucracy, all that type of stuff. And it kind of shows there's a little bit of a complexity to the character to kind of peel it back, kind of what it takes and why it takes so much for Lai to kind of pull all that stuff out of him, to kind of motivate him to do the right thing in this situation here. So I like how Statham creates that character and portrays those elements of the character. Like, it just shows that Statham is a damn good actor. I've seen him in other roles that he doesn't have to do any action in whatsoever, and he's a very, very good actor. Like, kind of underrated to a certain degree in how good of an actor he really is, and he shows a lot of that here. I see how he handles himself in both kind of the wit, the comedy, but also the kind of drama here and there. It's like he's very much adept to move between all these different things in the films, as he feels like a very confident leading man, despite the fact this is like the kind of the first thing he's actually leading as the main star of the entire thing, but he's got just a natural sensibility of being a star on screen and whatnot. I mean, we've had a lot of action stars kind of come on the scene, and maybe they kind of have good technique and they can do the action very well, but maybe they're not quite as good actors for the outset. Statham shows he's got a certain quality about himself that really kind of jumps out at you and kind of brings you in the entire film in terms of what he's doing in the story itself. So, really good type of stuff from Jason Statham as an actor of the film, and certainly as we get to the action later on, he's gonna kill it like hell. And having very good, interesting chemistry with Jason Statham is the actress Xu Kuai, who comes from Taiwan and the Republic of China. And the fact is, she really didn't know any English going into the entire film. Like, some of the stuff she had learned phonetically, but apparently she left and came back, and it was almost completely fluent. Like, Statham was like blown the hell away. Like, how the hell did you do that? And so she comes back, and she does a pretty nice job in the entire film. Like, the fact is, it's that chemistry that they have to spark off one way or another to really kind of sell the entire story going on, that she has to kind of break through Frank Martin's kind of steely exterior to a certain degree, and kind of draw him a little bit further into the kind of mess that she's into, and the fact that she keeps kind of skewing details and facts back and forth about things like, oh, well, maybe your father wasn't in the container. Maybe he's the bastard behind this entire plot here. But she gets herself a little bit in deep here and there, kind of scrap it and try and be a little bit in over her head. But she's also kind of resourceful, kind of trying to think on her feet in certain places. So I like the fact that she's got a little bit of agency here and there, though she becomes a damsel in distress later on in the film. But I like the fact that she has a certain quality about herself that's very taps into the lightheartedness of the entire film here. That she works back and forth with Statham so very easily, and all these sequences, and kind of bouncing things off one another. So she does a very nice job in the film. Like, she really just kind of endearing in how sweet she is throughout the entire film here as Lai. Just like, nice piece of work. She's apparently one of the most successful actresses in China ever. Like, she's got hosts of awards herself. She's been a filmmaker herself. So, like, fantastic type of stuff for her. Like, she had this little role in the entire and kind of spark off of an action film franchise and whatnot, and like really just had a whole different career that she had overseas and stuff like that. But Matt Schulze, man, I like this guy in the film as Wall Street, man. The villains in the film are like paper thin. Like, they're the thinnest freaking things you could possibly get. But the fact is, you get good performances. And Matt Schulze probably also had done a little bit of Fast and Furious stuff himself. But the fact is, he comes in this skeezy type of guy. You can feel the decadent arrogance all over this guy. He's like slimy and stuff like that. Like, you know this guy's up to no damn good. Right from the first thought. How they got him up, the hairstyling, all this stuff. Just like, this guy's got all kinds of slimy shit going on, sleazy stuff. This guy's got no morals. He's not a guy to trust whatsoever, but he puts in such a nice performance that you really, he's got that punchable face. You want fucking Statham to just fucking pound him so badly, and it's a really good type of thing from him. He really just puts on a really good piece of work here, especially in the physicality towards the third act of our film, when him and Statham are kind of fighting in that entire cab, the entire truck there. Really good stuff from him, but also Rick Young portrays Mr. Kwai in the whole thing, Lai's father. Real fucking bastard. Oh man, you really want to strangle this guy. Like I said, like, they're not written with any kind of depth. No real kind of nuance, but you get these guys in here, and they're going to chew it up, and they're really going to dig themselves into it. It's like, that's what you need. If you're not going to write much for them, they got to bring it. They really got to pump it up in that regard. They really make the entire thing like, yeah, these get bad freaking dudes, and you want to see them get what's coming to them, all that type of stuff. Really good type of stuff. With that Inspector Draconi portrayed by François Berléand, like I said, I really like what he does here. And he had to do a lot of phonetics type of stuff with his performance. Like, didn't know that much English in that regard. So a lot of stuff is going forward, trying to replicate what the guy, like the script supervisor, what the hell is, kind of telling him this is how to say the line and whatnot, and kind of bring his own thing to it. Like, he's got a lot of dialogue in the film, and it's all really well done alongside Statham. Like, it's really good type of stuff. He's got a little, again, like, got a little humor, wit, whatnot, but he really kind of gets the vibe. Everyone in the film gets the vibe they're going for. So it's a little bit of that sly, kind of wink and nod type of stuff, but it is really good type of stuff. I just, again, like I said, I like the chemistry between Taccone and Frank Martin. They got that little kind of knowing type of thing back and forth, but they're both kind of feeling the same thing as the entire story goes along, when Kwai and Wall Street kind of turn the things around him, saying, oh, this guy kind of kidnapped my daughter and stuff like that, and you got to arrest him, all that type of stuff. And it's like, I know this guy, and I'll take him in, stuff like that, but it's going to sit down with him, have a chat with him, get to the bottom of this whole thing. It's like, yeah, we'll stage an entire hostage situation to get you out of here and go on and do the thing you got to do to kind of make everything right. I just like the quality of the character. Apparently he came back for like everything else in the franchise. It's listed he came back for the second and third film, and even the TV series that had nothing at all to do with Statham whatsoever, but it's a nice type of cast, the whole thing. Like I said, it's not the thickest story, not the thickest script. It's really kind of lying on the action to drive the interest in the entire film here. So they cast some nice actors to kind of bring the characters to life, kind of get the audience kind of entertained, all that type of stuff. So it all kind of works very nicely for the entire film here. So it's not anything that's A+, but still very nice type of stuff for the entire quality of the film here. But interesting stuff with the music for the entire film, composed by Stanley Clarke. Apparently came from like a jazz fusion background. He was in a band called Return to Forever. So he did some jazz album stuff and did some film composing as well. So interesting films that he composed, such as Cool as Ice with Vanilla Ice. But a little bit more respectful in that regard in terms of like Passenger 57, Poetic Justice, Romeo Must Die. Come on, like thrillers and dramas and comedies and whatnot throughout the 90s and stuff like that. This one is kind of an interesting mix of different things, because you have some really nice orchestral cues in our film for action sequences and various other things, but then they kind of blend over to these kind of quirky electronic cues. I don't know how much they kind of work so much in tandem. They kind of feel like they're two different scores kind of competing back against each other throughout the entire film. And then you integrate all the kind of licensed music you have, the entire thing, for the songs, for the soundtrack, and they're very, very dated. Like, they do not transcend past 2002 at all. Like, this really threw me off the entire film. Like, oh, that's not to the film's benefit. It's very much a detriment to the quality of the film. It kind of really just sticks it right in the mud of 2002 in that regard. But you can find the album for this on like Amazon Music in a couple of different places, but it's not the most readily available soundtrack you can find. But you want to talk about the action in this film, because that's the centerpiece. That's the whole film is designed around the action you have here. And certainly the car chases are pretty nice. They're not the best things you could possibly get, especially in this era when it's like the same year as like The Bourne Identity comes out. And that's really killing it with this new kind of gritty style, all that type of stuff. It's nice, kind of smooth, kind of, again, kind of organic type of stuff. They're kind of flowing through all the type of stuff and kind of making all these kind of interesting scenarios where all the cop cars are swarming around and kind of grabbing them here and there. And they can make these interesting little calculated turns and stuff like that. Kind of this interesting way to show how Frank Martin is that good at his job. They can evade like these 18 different cop cars kind of rolling all over the entire place and kind of trying to corner them and stuff like that. And he can get out of any situation in that regarding some very innovative, kind of interesting little things here and there on how he does that. So there's a nice little fun, big stunt sequences and stuff like that in that regard. But the physical stuff, like when you get into fight sequences, man, oh man, that's when it gets interesting. Like when he barges down the door of Wall Street's place after they blow up his car, and he's just going to town on these guys with kicks and flips and knives and all that type of stuff. Like, it's just really good stuff. And the gunplay overall, just like, it's just really slick stuff. Really slick. And can't say slick without thinking about that oil fight, man. Oh, I remember that since 2002. I haven't watched the film in a long time, but that always stuck in my mind when the oil fight and he gets the pedals from the bicycle and everything like that. He's kicking people in the face and all that type of stuff. Oh my goodness. I love the whole thing. Apparently, they didn't use actual oil, they used syrup. And that was a nightmare, because one, it was cold shooting the entire sequence, and points in time like you got the entire thing on you. It's all sticky and everything. Eventually you have to go off and shower and come back and reset, all that type of stuff. And it's really kind of a mess in that regard, but makes for good cinema. Watch all that type of stuff and all that little things in the bus where he's going back and forth into close quarters and swooping through different places, the whole thing. It's so extremely well choreographed. It's really good type of stuff. Seeing how he moves forward and have those wonderful camera shots. Like, I love the fact that they got these nice, solid, clear pieces of camera work. Everything just flows around and you get really good geography. Everything's really well lit. Apparently, this was shot by Pierre Morel, who would later go on to direct Taken, which was known for kind of its quick cut editing and stuff like that, and the shaky cam type of stuff, very much kind of going off of that Paul Greengrass Bourne style that will be coming up in a few years in that regard, but shows that as a cinematographer, this guy could really shoot some really smooth type of stuff overall and really make an action sequence that was very much very coherent. I thought Taken was well done in that style because I reviewed the film a little over a year ago, and I thought they did a very good job executing that style in that regard, but seeing it here, have him handling the camera work really just shows too that this guy really has something going for himself as a cinematographer to kind of realize Cory Yuen's vision in that regard, to really just have these wonderful little pieces of work in the action sequences, but you get up the entire truck chase, all the type of stuff, and he's climbing up on the entire thing after he does the parachute jump, and he's kind of swinging around and flipping around the entire cab and whatnot, and like I said, the entire fight with Wall Street, great type of stuff, how they kind of using like the seat back and all that type of stuff, and using the kicks back and forth and kind of choking them with the ankles, all that type of stuff. It's like it's all really smartly type of choreographed, and it all feels like a fight. Nothing feels like it's a ballet or a dance or whatnot. It feels like you're really getting some hits in. There's real danger and threat involved in the entire thing. And apparently, in the US, the film got released PG-13, but in some other territories it was released with some extra footage. Not a whole lot. Just a few things were cut for other markets, but apparently right now, you can only get the uncut Blu-ray in Japan, France, and Germany. Now it seems like Japan would be the best one because it does have lossless audio on the Blu-ray, where the France and Germany ones do not quite have that. It's kind of a high-res DTS thing, not DTS HD Master Audio. But if you want to grab those, you'll have a better transfer and encode than the US version, and apparently a lot of the other versions out there as well. So better transfer, better quality in that regard, and you get kind of a little extra footage here and there of these entire fight sequences. But certainly, like on the DVDs and the Blu-rays, they put some like full extended fight sequences, some stuff they probably decided, well, maybe it's a little too long to put the entire film here, but we're going to present them as kind of bonus features in that regard. But I feel like, I do remember like, in my memory, feeling like, oh, that, like the oil slick fight was like really big and long and stuff like that, like a big centerpiece type of thing. I like the fact that in this theatrical cut, they kind of keep things nice and succinct, short and to the point. They're kind of like, we're not going to go overly elaborate in the entire cut of the film to kind of like have things go on and be overly showcasey. They kind of keep it tight and focused in that regard to have everything hit and move on. So I like that. I like the idea of the whole thing. But as bonus features, you can go off and enjoy some things that are a little bit more elaborated on in that regard. But this film just made Statham just like pinned on the board. Because I remember going to see this film in October of 2002 and walking out, I was like, man, this guy blows like Seagal out of the water like hell. Like, I was a big Seagal fan. Me and my dad were just like Seagal fans. Feel like Out for Justice and Marked for Death and Under Siege, all the type of stuff, Glimmer Man, all those things. We went to see Exit Wounds in the theater, but this guy comes on the scene and he's doing some fantastic stuff. Like, yeah, nothing like Seagal would ever do. Closer to the Van Damme stuff, the big high kicks and the kind of more theatrical sort of martial arts presentation in that regard, but Statham just hit it right on the head. They got the right kind of vehicle for him that could really showcase a lot of great things. Not just the action and the physicality and the martial arts, but also shows he's got this leading man quality about himself. And really just hit him right on the mark, because you think as all these other films, the Crank films, and all these other stuff gets up into the Expendables and the Fast and Furious franchises, keep building themselves, like this guy just becomes a bona fide, solidified action star. And you can definitely see why, like, Stallone gets really buddy-buddy with him. He starts producing projects for him, kind of writes scripts for films he wants Statham to star in and stuff like that. So, you know, you see the quality of him. And it seems like he's just a really nice guy. Like, all these interviews, all the type of stuff, you see him from him, he seems like he's a really easy guy to get along with and work with and all the type of stuff. So, like, that brings you far. The fact we're in 2026 and he's still delivering films that are doing very good box office. Like, he's building stuff up and he's kind of a reliable name, because as things go on, there's not a lot of like reliable like movie stars. You can open a film based on them. Because back in the day, you could like do the Schwarzenegger film, the Stallone film, the Van Damme film, kind of build it off of their backs. And you're like, oh, well, it's a new film for them. And you got an audience for them. You got their fans who are going to show up for that stuff. not as much anymore. Most of those guys like Scott Adkins or stuff like that are very much kind of more toward the direct to streaming, direct to DVD type of market, stuff like that. But Statham maintains a sort of theatrical appeal for himself. It's like a very good type of thing. Like, not everything's probably A+ type of stuff, but he's got an audience. And it's maintained itself for all these years because he's just an entertaining actor. He's a very good actor, entertaining action star. He can still deliver the goods. What's not to like about the guy? He's got a good piece of work. He's got good body work for himself, all that type of stuff. And I think, even though I went to see The Transporter 2 in the theater, and I kind of, this one went way over the top. Like, they push it way beyond any sort of reality. Like, when the entire car flips over itself and it has the entire crane knock some sort of bomb off the bottom of the car, I was like, we are nowhere in the realm of reality anymore in this thing. It kind of lost me, because the first film, this guy has got general sort of action movie logic and physics and whatnot. Some stuff is a little silly here and there, but it's not taking itself too seriously, but it doesn't take itself quite as not seriously as the second film, which was directed by Louis Leterrier directly, and then apparently the third film was directed by Olivier Megaton, who did like the Taken sequels where you like, it's like a frenzy, and like this super rapid cut type of stuff that made people have headaches in the theaters and whatnot. Then they did TV series that Transporter Refueled when they couldn't quite get Statham to agree to a contract or whatnot, so they kind of recast the role and brought some other guy in, and it apparently was at least successful enough. I really like to hear what you guys think. If you did see all the other films and the TV series, stuff like that, really like to get your thoughts about it, because I'm very much not well versed in the whole thing, so I read some information here or there and whatnot, but it still maintained a very successful franchise in that regard, to certain extents in that regard. But definitely think revisiting this film, like, it's not great, but Statham is great in it, and the action is still very, very good. Not the best stuff possible. I feel like my memory kind of pumped some stuff up a little higher than they actually were, but I still enjoyed all the action in the film. Really well done, and all that good stuff. So I'm sure like Statham's probably got some real bangers in filmography that really blow this one away, but definitely like to hear your thoughts about Jason Statham, his career, and the Transport itself. So guys, post your comments below, hit the like button if you enjoyed it, Super Things feature, and also hit the hype after you hit like to kind of boost the film, whole thing up in the YouTube algorithms, because they're doing all types of weird stuff these days. These kind of smaller channels got the entire hype button where you kind of pump them up a leaderboard. I don't know how this stuff works, but apparently it helps a little bit here and there. But guys, liking the video, subscribing, commenting, share your links around, all will do great things to keep things healthy around here, and let us know what you guys enjoy so we can keep making more of the stuff that you want to see. So guys, thanks so much. Take care. Bye-bye.